Welcome back everyone, it's here, and today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is, "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." Originally posted to r/Am I the Asshole by Buttertime Ult. Am I the asshole for humiliating my neighbor's kids by having them help me fix a window they broke? Using a throwaway because I want to. My girlfriend, 25 female, and I, 25 male, have been dating for about 7 months. I moved into this house around 6 months ago because it was closer to my family and friends than my previous place. It's a little farther from work, but I mostly work from home, so it wasn't a big deal. About a week ago, I was doing the dishes in the kitchen when suddenly I heard glass shattering from the garage. When I went to check, I found broken glass all over the floor. One of the windows, not the door, had been broken from the outside. I didn't see anyone, but while cleaning up, I found a football that wasn't mine. I recognized it as one of my neighbors. I had seen their kids playing with it in the front yard before. Later that night, my girlfriend noticed the broken window when she came over for dinner. She doesn't live with me, though I have asked her a few times. I mentioned that one of the neighbor's kids must have accidentally broken it while playing football and that I'd return the ball to them the next day. I wasn't angry about it, it was just a window. But my girlfriend seemed annoyed and called the kids rude and disrespectful for not apologizing. The next day, I went out to get supplies since it gets cold where I live, and I wanted the window fixed sooner rather than later. When I got back, I grabbed the ball and knocked on my neighbor's door. The mom answered and I explained what happened. She had her 3 boys come and apologize. She also offered to pay for the damage, but I declined. Instead, I asked for one thing, that the boys help me fix the window. I thought it was a good lesson. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to ride my bike through an elderly lady's flower garden as a shortcut. One day, she caught me, and instead of punishing me, she asked me to help her replant it. So, I spent a few afternoons after school helping her, and that experience really stuck with me. I figured this was a similar opportunity for these kids. My neighbor agreed, so I showed the boys how to fix the window. At first, it was a little awkward, but they warmed up to it and actually did a great job. About 30 minutes in, my girlfriend pulled into the driveway. She gave me and the boys a weird look, but went inside without saying anything. After we finished, I thanked the kids, sent them home, and went inside. My girlfriend immediately asked them why I had them help. I told her I thought it was a good way for them to learn from their mistake, just like I had when I was younger. But she said I had humiliated them. I explained that I wasn't trying to shame them. I wasn't angry, didn't make a scene, and even turned down their mom's offer to pay. I just thought it was a good way to teach them responsibility. She still thinks I was in the wrong. I don't think I am, but I also don't want to go around awkwardly asking my neighbor's kids if they felt humiliated. So, am I the asshole? I did make an update to this post, by the way. Am I the asshole has no consensus bot, but OP was not the asshole. Before we get into the comments, I just want to give my 2 cents real quick. I actually think the way that OP handled this was perfect. Like, this is actually the optimal way to do this. Because accidents happen. The kids probably didn't mean to throw the football through the garage window. Like, shit just happens, it probably spooked them and they ran inside and they didn't want to get in trouble. And teaching them that, hey, just because you make a mistake doesn't mean I'm gonna be angry or lash out at you or yell at you, I just want help fixing the broken damages that were caused. That's a good way to teach them that their actions have consequences, but there's also a way to fix those consequences. And honestly, that's the perfect lesson. I mean, this is what my dad had me do whenever I broke something around the house, as I was always around to fix my mistakes as well. And that's just a generally good lesson. And I think that OP personally would make a good dad, because not being angry and understanding that accidents do in fact happen is a great mentality to have when it comes to things just happening, because shit happens. The girlfriend's reaction, though, definitely raises some eyebrows and is kind of concerning. So let's look at the relevant comments and see if we can get more information. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, not the asshole. You taught the kids something worthwhile and how to properly apologize and a skill, without being nasty about it. Truthfully, the best way this situation could go. Your girlfriend was either humiliated as a kid and is taking it out on you or something, but she's completely off base. OP responds, I agree. I'm kind of afraid to ask her about that and or bring up that agreement. I'll mention something about it later during dinner and see what she says. Commenter 2. No, what you did was superb. They saw what it took to fix the damage they caused. I would rethink the girlfriend. How she responded to you about this issue is a giant character flaw. Don't make babies with this one, it will be a nightmare. OP responds, "Thanks for the feedback. I know you're joking." I actually don't think he is joking. It would be a nightmare to have children with her if this is how she views punishments. But I do plan on having kids in the future. I don't know if she does though. It's something I've mentioned, just not really in a full conversation. I'll bring that up to her later. These comments are bringing up a lot of good questions to ask her. Commenter 2 responds, "Not joking at all. Quite serious as you should be. The fact that she viewed your non-judgmental hands-on let's fix this moment as humiliating is a big clue of how she thinks adults and children should interact. If you stay with her, please have deep discussions on how you guys will discipline kids." Commenter 3, "No, but you need a better girlfriend." Commenter 4, "Not the asshole. You do realize that you have a girlfriend who does not believe people should be held accountable for their actions. You might want to consider how that mindset will play out in your relationship over time." Actually, some of the commenters bring up a good point that her viewing taking accountability as humiliation is a pretty big show of her character. Update, February 7th, 2025, the next day. Thanks to everyone who commented on my first post. A lot of good questions were brought up, and I talked with my girlfriend over dinner last night. Here's what happened. For context, we are both white. My mom married my stepdad when I was 2, and he's black. I was raised in a predominantly black neighborhood, and the one I live in now is the same way. The 3 boys who helped me fix the window are also black. My girlfriend isn't originally from this state. She moved here for school, and in her words, just never left. During dinner, I asked her again why she thought I humiliated the kids. After a bit of a back and forth, she said something along the lines of, "You looked like a slave owner." Hearing that was honestly shocking. That thought had never crossed my mind until she said it. I didn't mention race in my original post because I didn't think it mattered, but now I'm wondering if more people would have suggested that if I had. I asked, "So you see a white man and 3 black kids fixing a window and your first thought is slavery?" I could tell I struck a nerve because she left dinner without saying much. That whole night, I kept thinking about her, our relationship, and what this meant. Is this why she never really wanted to move in with me? If we had kids, how would she treat kids of different races? How would she treat my stepdad's side of the family? I asked her to breakfast this morning and broke up with her. I told her straight up I can't be with someone whose first thought when seeing a white guy and a black guy together is slavery. It sucks that this is something I'll have to consider when dating in the future. The idea of, is this person racist? Was never something I really thought about before, but now I feel like I have to. I really hope my neighbors don't think I had bad intentions. I don't think they do, but I'm definitely not about to bring it up and make things weird. Anyway, kind of a weird update, but thanks to everyone who commented and told me I made a difference in those boys' life. That really meant a lot to me. Now I'm gonna go read some Hellboy or something. Top comments. Commenter 1. I think if the boy's mother had seen it the same way as the ex, then they could have thought about it. But she obviously liked the solution. Your ex has some pretty confusing views. Commenter 2. Exactly. This seems like a good neighbor who's actually embodying "it takes a village." Yet his ex couldn't see that. Pretty sad for her, but good riddance for OP. Commenter 3. Your ex-girlfriend is insane. First of all, the mom was okay with your idea. She agreed that her children needed to A, be held accountable for their actions, and B, that their work instead of money was a good solution. Second, you were teaching them how to fix a window. That's a great skill to have. Third, how is any of that racist? I fail to see her logic. Commenter 4. Wow, what a twist. I commented on your other post about how she could be projecting or something, but never even thought race could be a thing in your story because it wasn't really relevant. You dodged a bullet and taught those kids something valuable. OP 100% dodged a bullet here, like 100%, because if her first thought is because the kids are black, they should be avoidant of responsibility because of racial implications, that is a whole new bag to even attempt to unpack there, holy hell. Also, it kind of shines a lot of light that when her seeing a black person, her default mindset is, oh, slave. Like, buddy, you dodged a hell of a bullet there, good god. This post was collected by Drek Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. Originally posted to r/parenting by NameNerd77. Posted April 13th, 2019. Kid's birthday party. Is this normal or am I being entitled? Earlier today, I went to a birthday party for my daughter's, 6, friend from school. The party was being held at Build-A-Bear, but it wasn't run by the employees. We had cake and pizza in the food court, then went down to Build-A-Bear to make bears, then back to friend's house for the rest of the party. The invitation said each kid, about 8 total, would get to make a bear, and I just assumed they would get to take them home, since that's what happened at another Build-A-Bear party I went to. Me and my husband even pitched in about $30 as we knew these things can get expensive. We get to the store, and the kids go wild getting their animals and accessories. As far as I know, the parents didn't really put a limit, but I made my daughter stick to just a standard dog with a shirt, which about half the parents did as well. All is well. We leave the store. Then the friend's mom announces that the kids need to give all their animals to her daughter. Cue the upset and angry kids. They all disappointingly handed over their animals, and friend wasn't even being nice about it either. Another little boy didn't want to, and friend ripped it out of his hands. I probably should have said something, but I didn't. The other parents seemed pretty baffled too. We get back to friend's house and our kids are watching as friend plays with all her new animals. I left with my daughter pretty quickly, and once we got back into the car, she just started bawling. I felt bad, so we went to Build-A-Bear and got her a new one. I'm just wondering if this is totally normal and I should have expected this, or am I being an entitled parent? Relevant comments. Shrimpy McWaddles. Did you also buy a present for the kid? I'd honestly consider reaching out to the mom and asking for the money back since your daughter didn't get to keep the bear. You intended to pay because you figured your daughter would be keeping the animal. Depends on how much the $30 and making a point is worth to you, because this is bound to start some drama. I feel bad for the kid though, because no one's gonna want to come to their birthday anymore. OP responds, yeah, we did get her a present. I talked to one of the other moms whose child was at the party, and she was really upset when her kid came home without a bear. She said she will try talking to her about it at school Monday. Domina Amalia. That is not normal and it's not okay. They didn't give any prior warning? Wow. I would be livid. OP responds, nope. To my understanding, the little girl told her friends that they would get to keep their bears. At first, I thought maybe the birthday girl didn't know she would be given all of them, but judging by her attitude, maybe she did. Deleted user. This is so bizarre. Poor kids. I would think the Build-A-Bear would be the party favors activity for the party. Yeah, I thought so too. The kids did get goodie bags after the fact with sunglasses, bubbles, some candy, and their own decorated cupcake. Jen the Hen MFC. This may sound bad, but are they weird or off in any other ways? Like, are they foreign or extremely poor or just super snobby, clueless rich people? This just seems so beyond the range of normal, especially if they didn't pick up on the social cues of the parents and kids being horrified by their expectations. OP respond, they're big people in the community, always volunteering. They are pretty rich and do seem a little snobby and better than everyone else. Kitten Trap comments, this is very strange indeed. Even the website spells out that there is a special heart ceremony for each bear, and the bear is the favor for each child. OP responds, yeah, I really wish they did the party through Build-A-Bear. Instead, they just did it as an extra activity. I don't think the employees even knew a birthday party was going on, honestly. Maps00 responds to OP's previous comment. Wait, so did every parent have to pay for their own kid's bear before they were told they had to give it up? Because what the fuck? On top of an already what the fuck Sunday. And OP clarifies, they didn't ask us to pay, I only did as an extra favor. Update to my original post. Not sure how to link it on mobile, but it was about the mom making the kid give their Build-A-Bears up to the birthday girl. This afternoon at school pickup, me and another parent had a chance to talk with the mom of the party. It wasn't a long conversation, but I'll do my best to reenact it here. Mom's fake name will be Karen. Insert awkward small talk here. Karen. I hope the other girls enjoyed daughter's party the other day. I know, daughter, had lots of fun. Other mom. Yeah, I was actually wondering about the whole, your daughter getting all the bears thing. The kids seemed pretty upset afterwards. Karen. Oh yeah, we wanted our daughter to have a special animal decorated by each of her friends. Me. Oh, okay. I was just wondering why the kids didn't get to keep their bears. I even pitched in a little bit of money assuming the bears would go to the kids. Karen. Well, I didn't have enough money for each of the guests to make their own. That would get pretty expensive. If you want your money back, I'll see about getting it back to you, but I don't really see the problem though. Me. Okay, well the kids were forced to give away their new creations. Obviously, they're going to be upset about it. I don't see why your daughter needs all these animals. Karen didn't respond and walked away right after, probably offended. What bothers me is she said she didn't have enough money for all the kids to have one, but she did have enough for her daughter to get like 8 bears. It just doesn't really make sense. Now, I admit, I'm not the most confrontational person, so I probably should have talked to her more about it. Anyways, I guess we sort of worked it out. No one's fighting, so I'm not sure I'm going to mention it to her again. Sorry this wasn't the most satisfying ending, but thanks for the love and support. It means a lot. Relevant comments. Deleted comment. This is directly from the Build-A-Bear website. Just pick the package that fits your budget and invite your guests. Build-A-Bear Workshop does the rest. We provide a party leader who will guide the fun with hands-on activities and games. And each guest creates the best party favor ever, their own furry friend to bring home in love. Karen is a skank. Aidlin, 87244. So this is why they didn't have Build-A-Bear actually host the party, because Build-A-Bear wouldn't have allowed her to be this greedy with the bears. TTYLE. As a former Build-A-Bear employee, I can confirm we would not have let that shit fly. Honestly, the biggest thing here is this is a great way to have it so your daughter doesn't have any friends come to her future birthday parties. Like, this is a phenomenal way to just make her friends not want to hang out with her anymore or be friends with her, because they're just going to have the negative memory of like, oh yeah, I went to your birthday party, made myself a Build-A-Bear, and then I had to give it to you when I was told by you that this would be my stuffed animal. Like, there sounds to be no implication at all that they would be building bears and decorating them for their daughter at the birthday party. That just didn't sound like that was made clear at all. Just let this be a lesson. Even if you're the one paying for everything, this is just a really in poor taste birthday party that's gonna leave a lot of kids just not satisfied and unhappy. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, "Satan is not a pogo stick." Originally posted to r/relationships by user Bullying Boss. Me, 39 female, with my 44 male depressed colleague who has accused me of bullying him. I manage a team of 12 people and last year had a 13th member added when other managers refused to deal with him any longer. He's diagnosed with depression and generalized anxiety disorder. He is morbidly obese and suffers from musculoskeletal problems related to the obesity and diabetes. When they came to me, it was because I have helped other mentally ill staff members and I was happy to take them on as I felt I could help them. We did make progress and steadily increase their level of work. It has never reached the level considered acceptable, but I made accommodations to relieve pressure, hoping this would lead to a sustained long-term improvement. I sought out equipment to help them be more physically comfortable given their obesity. I felt like we were making progress. Unfortunately, they committed a serious breach of security, sent out personal information to someone not legally entitled to have it, and I had to place them on formal disciplinary action. Since then, they've been on sick leave for over 3 months. They're now subject to attendance management procedures and have reached out to a local mental health group and advised them that I have bullied and harassed them. This bullying and harassment has, according to them, made it impossible for them to return to work. I have documented evidence that this is not true. When they were told they needed to move away from me for health and safety reasons, they became distressed and demanded to stay with me for mental health reasons. I have signed documentation where they state I am supportive and they don't want the reasonable accommodations I have offered. Shorter days, fewer days, longer breaks, etc. I have a meeting with them and their support workers from the mental health group and I have no idea how to handle this. So, how do I handle it? I can prove they're lying and they have a pattern of lying to get themselves out of trouble. I have no concerns about my bosses because they are well aware that this is an utterly unfounded allegation. My worry is that they are completely unsuited to the job and because they point-blank refuse to acknowledge they are in any way responsible for the mistakes they are making, it is impossible to correct them. Too long didn't read, have been accused of bullying when I haven't. Relevant comments. When told to go to HR, OP responded with, I haven't spoken to our internal HR, but they are terrified that any accusation of bullying a person with mental health problems could be problematic, as it's a hot topic at present. I have referred the person for counseling internally and they have told me repeatedly, documented, that they have taken up this service. My concern is this meeting is not an internal meeting, it is with people who specifically represent people with mental health problems, and I don't know how to respectfully say that the person is lying through their teeth without sounding like a bully. To be clear, their lies aren't malicious, and I don't believe this one is either. It's something said to solve an immediate need. So in this case, it's because they need to explain the amount of time they've had off sick, and admitting it's because of their own actions is too terrifying, so I am being bullied. Means it's something that is happening to them and they have no control over it. The reality is they do have control over it, but they are so used to being the victim in all situations that they refuse to acknowledge this is not actually true. Hugo and Kim respond, "Judging from your explanation here, it appears that you have an understanding and empathetic attitude towards this person and situation. That attitude, along with the documentation you have regarding accommodations you've offered, should go a long way in your defense. What exactly is he trying to say you've done to bully him? I am not a professional in this area, just have extensive experience working with people with mental health problems in social work/education settings." OP responds, "He believes that by pointing out his security breach and substandard level of work, I have bullied him. He doesn't allege that he isn't doing this, just that by expecting more, I am bullying and harassing him. I am making allowances. For an example, other members of staff are expected to deal with approximately 16 cases a day accurately. I am happy for him to do 2 if he does them right. Unfortunately, he can do 2 cases, but not correctly. Unfortunately, by allowing him to work at a slower pace, he believes that he should be allowed the same scope of error as someone who is working 16 cases. And as such, he is being bullied by expecting him to get his 2 cases 100% right when someone who is working 16 cases has an allowance for minor errors." OP explains HR more. "Yeah, HR's response is basically, fire him, but don't leave us open to a lawsuit. It's not helpful because I don't want to fire him. He's not currently in a position to do his job to the standard required, but I don't want to determinately impact his future. He won't resign for health reasons as he feels it will prevent him from getting another job, and HR wants him gone without actually doing anything. I'm stuck in the middle because as manipulative as his mental health issues are, they are real." OP continues, "If I wouldn't get fired for doing it, I'd post a copy of the 4-page email I got in response to my specific questions. It was large swaths of the DDA copied and pasted with vague remarks about support, reasonable allowances, and work-life balance. I can only assume they put someone's idiot nephew in charge of the email box on the day I contacted them. They are centralized and are notorious for not giving out specific instructions for fear of having them challenged. Their main purpose is to protect themselves. I have no idea how they keep their jobs, to be honest." OP's last comment. "Thank you. His previous warnings have been well documented in evidence, so I am not too concerned about legal action. I was just really thrown by the accusation of bullying and harassment and had built up a scenario where I was going to be attacked by his advocates. The great responses like yours has put my mind at ease. It is sad that he has cast himself as the victim in all of this, but I am determined not to be drawn into the mindset, and I won't allow myself to cast into the role of their oppressor because it is simply not true." Update, September 18th, 2017, 3 months later. Well, the meeting went ahead as planned, and thanks to the wonderful advice and tips from the people who kindly responded, I was calm and thought I was prepared. Boy, was I wrong! My colleague and his support worker were both there and the meeting started really well. I asked how he was doing, what steps he was taking to prepare himself to return to work, etc., and nothing unexpected came up. As arranged, I brought up the allegations of bullying and asked for some specific examples to help me understand what was happening. After worrying myself sick about this, his answer was actually pretty disappointing. He gave no examples and only offered vague explanations about his anxiety, making him overreact to other people's conversations, which made him feel like he was being picked on. I advised him, and my boss backed me up, that there was literally nothing I could do about that. I patiently explained that I could not ban people from talking and I would not sit in silence in order to ensure that he never heard anything he didn't like. My boss stressed that his poor performance needed to be addressed and that was part of my job, and that doing it was in no way harassment. His support worker did agree with that, and we had a brief chat about how I could better communicate. To be honest, there was nothing they said that was particularly helpful, but I did agree to be mindful of their condition moving forward. Then it got weird. I asked if there was anything I could do to help him transition back into work. This normally involves a phased return, changing to part-time hours, etc., but not this time. As I was talking, he started taking paperwork out of a folder, and I should have realized something was up when his support worker sighed deeply and slumped down in his chair. My colleague requested that he be allowed to bring an emotional support animal to work with him, namely, a support cat. We are in the UK and this is not the norm, so I was a bit surprised. He had not settled on a breed yet, but was torn between an Abyssinian or a Siamese. I thought pointing out some obvious difficulties with this might make him realize how inappropriate this would be. For example, I pointed out we have a guide dog in the building for a partially sighted colleague. His name is Rufus and is by far the most popular person in the building. The dog, not the human. And they may not get along with the cat. He responded by telling me it was illegal to discriminate by favoring one disability over another, and if a blind person could have a guide dog, a depressed person could have a cat. I moved on from this clearly idiotic point and asked how a cat would react to being placed in a pet carrier twice a day to travel to and from work. He advised me he would train the cat. My boss became very agitated at this point, demanding, "How the hell do you train a cat?" Not to be deterred, my colleague stated that in the worst case scenario, he would leave the cat at work overnight and only take him home on weekends. I asked how he intended to cope with litter tray cleaning, etc. Given his serious weight issues, bending down to empty a litter tray would be difficult for him. He presented me with a spreadsheet he had created with a team rota for cleaning up after the cat and feeding. He had also costed out food, insurance, and the actual cost of the cat. And on said spreadsheet had an expected donation from each team member on a sliding scale depending on how much he perceived their financial circumstances to be. I was paying the most as I am single, earn more, and have no dependent children. The spreadsheet was quite impressive, color-coded and everything. I politely said no to that, and then he started insisting the company should pay as it would be a legitimate business expense to accommodate his disabilities. At this point, I realized my boss was still repeating, "How the hell do you train a cat?" And the support worker was shaking his head and muttering, "I told you not to do this." So I made a unilateral decision on behalf of my company and advised him in no certain terms that we would not be buying any cats. We would not be cleaning up after any cats because we would not be permitting him to bring any cats on the premise. He was not happy. He complained that I was making it impossible for him to return to work. My boss took a break from his cat training mantra to say that we had perhaps gone as far as we could for the time being and we should end the meeting at this point. As we were leaving, he did make a point of telling the support worker, "There will be no bloody cats." The support worker nodded and agreed this was entirely fair. I didn't hear anything from him for a week or so, then received another 4-week sick notice from him, so I called, as per our company procedure, to check in and see how he was doing. He was still very unhappy about my discriminatory anti-cat stance and advised he would be taking it further. 2 weeks later, I received a letter from what initially looked like a local solicitor's office, and it advised me I was being sued for breaking disability discrimination laws. The letter itself was filled with bizarre, mainly American legalese that seemed to be culled from Law and Order episodes. On closer examination, the letterhead had been edited to change the contact details to his phone number and personal mobile. I'm not sure whose address he used, but it wasn't the solicitors in question. I handed it to my boss, who had also received one, so both were forwarded to our legal department. I was advised to have no further contact with him. The legal bods have informed me that his contract has been terminated with immediate effect. I'm honestly stunned as to how it turned out. I half expected him to be terminated due to the amount of time off sick and his unwillingness to address his performance issues, but I would have never guessed it would end like this. It's both funny and sad. Thank you so much to everyone who took the time to calm my nerves before the meeting. It really did mean the world to me. Too long didn't read, meeting started fine, took a weird turn, and went downhill from there. So, I sent this story to a friend of mine who has narcolepsy and fibromyalgia. The response I got was just screaming, and just enraged screaming. It's behavior like this that causes companies to be hesitant about providing disability access to other employees who might actually benefit greatly from it. They had already, in my opinion, were over-accommodating. This person was doing 12.5% the work of your average employee at this company, and still felt like they were being put under too much pressure. And then on top of that, the whole thing about asking for a luxury breed of cat, a Siamese cat alone can go for between at least $400 to $2,000 alone. And then the company paying for feeding, asking for employees to quote-unquote donate their own money to have the cat running, and then it's just so, come on, coming to the table with a spreadsheet that has the rotation checklist of what each employee is gonna have to do to take care of their cat that the company's gonna pay for? And then just the bow on top of him threatening to sue because they won't buy him a cat. I just... Ugh. Like, imagine going through all the effort that OP went to try and accommodate for this person's disabilities, and honestly going above and beyond in several instances, only to then be hit with this just mockery. It's a shame, and it's an insult to people with disabilities who are actually trying to get work done and be part of society, and to break past the labels that are given to them. I would be very, very interested in hearing some opinions from people with disabilities in the workplace, and just what your thoughts are, because this has gotta be just a gut punch. I mean, at least in my opinion, like, I would feel like this was a gut punch to me, but maybe I'm incorrect, so I would love to get those additional opinions, because reaching out to one of my friends isn't of course going to be the end-all opinion, but still. I at least wanted to run this by them before I said anything, because this felt like insanity to me. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.